Hasta luego. Cómetela, cómetela, cómetela. Apareció de la nada. ¿Por qué tal me deja comerme? Ahí está. ¿Por qué coño? Y también se me cae yo. Muerto. Pues ya yo quería alimentar.
Over there!
Tiene tiempo, pero no se queda guardado.
Look lively! Swim to us!
No entiendo cómo no se desangra si lo muerde la popular. Ya está muerta. It's like
It's locked, all right. Fresh blood. The whole building reeks of it. The scent is so strong it makes me dizzy. It's locked. This place reeks of bloodshed.
William, my arm. I can't feel it.
¿se ha pillado? No.
Please, let go of me. Oh my God, William. I can't stand it anymore.
No sé quiénes son, pero bien que me ha dicho el nombre. Un poco absurdo. Bueno. It's like...
I could never harm you, Mr. Hampton. You're my only friend.
I know your heart, William. Alas, you must give me permission to leave. I'll not betray your trust.
William Bishop.
You see, I need a drink. I'm so
Stay with
thirsty.
me, William.
Come
As
on,
one,
French.
we shall overcome this. We've done it before.
No, I had a drink outside tonight.
This creature is bedeviled. I must put it down.
¿Qué hambre tiene? Me va a comer todo. Cómetelo. Yo no sé dónde está mordiendo, pero bueno. 1, 2, 3, 4, muerde. Un rato igual. 1, 2, 3, 4, muerde. A ver si te lo juego. Un poco coñazo, la verdad. Yo no sé si me dan algo o no. Quita, coño. Se puede jugar con una mano y con los ojos cerrados. Que ha hecho tú más daño en la noche que llevas que el pobre hombre en toda la vida. No sé qué va a tardar. Es que no sé si me dan sangre por eso. Experiencia de 160. Se me queda igual. No sé para qué lo hago. Otro 145, 365, 790, 500. Muerte. Sí, el señor este pastor. Gilipollas. Ahí el otro botón. Está. 45, 65. Pues quiero esta. ¿Cómo se equipa? ¿Y qué coño importa la víctima? Por culo.
William,
Estará muerto.
Stop. Let me go.
Y ya está muerto.
It's not too late.
Está un poco retorcido el viejo.
I forgive you. The Lord is my shepherd.
Cállate, gilipollas.
William was an honorable man. I could have saved him.
Mr. Hampton, are you in there?
I knew him well, another lost soul, a kindred spirit.
Sir, listen to the sound of my voice. I'm a doctor. You're suffering from shock.
I must return to my flock. They'll stray without me.
Remember, certain skulls are every bit as resistant as we are.
Who are you? What do you mean by scowl?
You truly are a newborn. I should have realized.
Wait. You are the woman from the bar. Are you like me? Can you help me?
I believe, sir, I already have.
Haha.
By George and the Saints, you've solved the mystery of these terrible murders.
Sí,
Patience, good fellows, I've come to offer help. Just give me a moment to secure my boat. We can leave this awful place.
William was not the evil man they claimed. He was just taken by the thirst. He needed this drink.
This man requires medical attention. We'll see he gets to the nearest hospital.
No, please,
Seguro
I must
que-
tend to my fold. My flock needs me.
There, sir. Go with a good Dr. Swansea. He's resourceful, and I'm sure he'll take good care of you.
You'd best come as well. The sun is soon to rise, and you'll need a place to rest.
I just need
Se
a
da igual.
moment. If I can learn something about what has happened to William, I'll be a step closer to understanding what happened to me.
¿Y para qué coño hay una puerta ahí? Digo yo.
It's locked, all right. This poor creature can't be my maker. Could it be some subspecies of vampire? I must find a place to analyze the blood.
¿Qué sangre si no tiene gilipollas? Pilar. Sí, Maripilis. Te joder. ¿Dónde hostias está la puta sangre? No se puede... ¡Ah! ¿Lo puedo tirar? Pues vaya mierda. ¿Dónde coño sale el vapor? Está un poco raro por el cabello, ¿no? Coming. Madre mía, el timón cómo se mueve.
Where are we headed?
We're on our way
Okay.
to the Pembroke Hospital. It's just across the canal. They'll have a bed for poor Mr. Hampton.
William was... What manner of creature was he?
Predator, prey, villain, and victim. Who can say? The important thing is that he's been stopped.
Duly
Sí,
noted.
claro.
And the woman? What... Who is she?
What woman?
Oh, don't play me for a fool. You used me to locate that skull. You must know who she is.
And I thought you a gentleman. You shouldn't talk about a lady behind her back, but I will tell you she values her privacy. Were London as peaceful as she appears from the middle of the canal? If only that were the reality of the situation.
To be honest, I've always tried to avoid this part of town.
Pembroke Hospital is the last bastion between the rest of London and the epidemic. The flu has decimated the East End and the war still rages. Welcome to the front lines of a plague.
This is where you work, Dr. Swansea?
I am the administrator of Pembroke Hospital.
I thought you were here in service of your mysterious order, the Brotherhood of...
Of St. Paul's Stole, yes. But first and foremost, I'm a man of science. A physician, like yourself, Dr. Reed.
How do you know who I am?
No need for modesty. You are Dr. Jonathan Reed, a surgeon of some caliber and renown, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct, sir.
I knew it! I had my suspicions. But when you took the blood sample from the corpse of poor William, I was certain.
¿Cómo coño lo confirma así?
Reed, marvelous.
Madness.
Have we met?
Loco.
I attended 3 of your seminars before the war. I have the utmost admiration for your research.
Señor,
And what a turn of fate. England's most esteemed blood specialist returns to London a vampire.
That word, again. From a so-called man of science.
I understand. Traditionally, the role of science is to refute myth, but when myth walks among us, the Brotherhood of St. Paul has dedicated its purpose to their study. There's so much for you to learn.
Of that, you are right.
Well,
¿Era qué?
then let me be blunt. Join my staff at Pembroke Hospital
Pesado.
as a physician. I suspect you'll not find a better post of employment to contemplate your predicament.
¿Qué sabe la gente?
It's sudden. I was returning home to see my sickly mother. But alas, that was before contracting this... affliction.
Dr. Reed, take a moment to consider. The post would be for the night shift, providing a good explanation for your absence during daylight hours. You'll be adequately reimbursed and have a place to hide. I even had the forethought to bring some clean clothes. So, what do you say?
No.
It seems I have little choice, but yours is a generous offer, so I thank you.
Brilliant! Oh, Jonathan, this is one for the book, and the beginning of a
Que no
beautiful
quiero,
friendship.
joder. Por culo. Quiere matar a la gente. En el juego, claro. ¿Y dónde coño están sus padres, su madre? Si su hermana estaba en Londres y la mataron. Que vaya cuidado de ella. No te jode. Venga. Menos cinemática que no lleva a ningún sitio más jugar.
Dr. Swansea, thank goodness. I was beginning to be concerned.
Worry no more, Nurse Crane, for I bring good news.
No tiene que llamar enfermera.
Oh, Doctor, what a night. We lost 2 more patients. Nurse Scow said she couldn't take it anymore and resigned.
Yes, well, I'll make a new rota in the morning. In the meantime, find a good bed for Mr. Hampton. Be sure to pay attention to his needs.
Of course, Doctor.
Está llena de sangre.
Oh, and Dorothy,
Yes, Doctor?
Dr. Reed here has just returned from the front. He served King and Country and will be joining us here at Pembroke. We're very lucky to have gained a surgeon of his talent, and one so experienced in blood transfusions.
That is good news indeed, Doctor.
Oh, yes.
Así puede ver un poquito sin matar a nadie.
Here at Pembroke, it's not what we have, but what we haven't. It's only thanks to Nurse Crane and the staff that our ship doesn't sink. If you have any questions,
Joder,
just
puta.
ask her.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Your assistance is required, Dr. Swansea,
Welcome
immediately.
aboard, Jonathan. We'll catch up after my rounds. Coming, Nurse Crane. I'm coming.
¿Tiene sangre? ¿Cuánto coño se ha cambiado entero? Pues le muerdes y ya no se ve nada. A ver, lo sigue siendo. ¿Pero a ti qué te importa?
It's locked.
Vampiro, y no podéis saltarse a la izquierda, vayasa. Me jodas,
We'll have a word in my office later, Jonathan.
no me dejan pasar.
Come on, you bastard! You can do better than that! Nah, it's my turn!
Rotten oppressive. Each heart contains the seeds of life. Drink at this river, try it all.
Oh, come on, you bastard! I won't bite!
Sir, please. You've lost too much blood. Calm yourself.
You think I didn't notice? Stop your staring and get me to an hospital, you arse!
Sí.
Insulting a good Samaritan. Not exactly the way to get rescued.
Alright, sorry. I am in pain here. Me guts are spilling out onto the street and you're yabbering on.
Yes. That's a very nasty wound you've got there. Take my word, I am a doctor. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Name's Clay Cox. I'd appreciate you helping me to a better place, Doc.
Follow me, Mr. Cox. Let me assist you to that better place.
Bring this fading light into the shadows. Dance with him the dance of life and death.
Te va a matar. Ay, no sé qué hacer. ¿Y me lo puedo comer luego? No sé.
No more. Not tonight. Not like this. I will not take another life.
Ah, ya está. Curado.
What happened? Did I black out?
Mira cómo me le como. Vaya mierda.
It is wise for the huntsman to sometimes let his prey go, but no famished hunter can run for long.
A ver qué un asesino.
It's locked, all right.
¿Es anillo? Barco. Mira las pistas. Cuando tenga las pistas me las como.
I feel giddy.
Good evening, nurse. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal with this unexpected notoriety.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research. He is convinced it is the future.
Pues sí, la verdad que sí.
I'm not familiar with all the staff yet. Perhaps you could help me.
Brilliant professionals, most of them. Dr. Swansea has a gift for recruiting talent.
Most of them. Is there a problem I should know about, nurse?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Is there anyone that stands out?
Well, I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippett's. He should be a standard for us all here. If only he were younger.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't know when to stop and get some rest.
Pues me lo voy a comer. Se va, bebé.
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
Sí, claro.
I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling against an invisible enemy, more lethal than any bullet from a gun. It's hard, Doctor.
An invisible enemy? Quite a poetic term for a disease, especially from a nurse.
Sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting. We could all do with a good night's sleep.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
No es invisible.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Sí, llámame. Por telepatía. A ver, es un vampiro.
Dr. Swansea asked me to connect you, Dr. Reed. Hurry up.
Se van a cuidar de cojones.
I'm not the one to make wait, Doctor. I have patients to attend.
Se va.
Come on, I don't have all night.
Por culo, zorra. ¿No te das cuenta? No entiendes por qué brilla. Sí. Qué limpio está todo. un poco raro que me dejéis por aquí. Antes de entrar en el hospital.
Scowl voices in the garden. I should investigate. If they were to find somebody.
Coño. Oh, una papelera. Sí, por siempre juntos. Es un poco grande este lugar, ¿no?
It's locked.
Es locked. Venga, ya no va a poder pasar. Qué mal pintado está, joder. Tócate los cojones. Ya me lo puedo coger. Vaya consejo de mierda.
It's locked, all right. It's locked.
Ratas.
Don't come closer, sir.
¿Me ha matado? ¿Cómo puede ser? Me ha guardado todo lo que he hecho. ¿Por qué no me deja cambiar? Piedra. Os vais a sacar. Uy, sangre, qué bien.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
¿Por qué eso no lo ve? Coño ahí. Coño ha pasado. No entiendo nada. ¿Por qué coño no hace nada? Joder. Otra vez. Joder.
I have this thirst for blood.
Steady, boys! We've got one of them here! He's done for! Burn you fire!
Mejor así. ¿Eso ya lo he cogido? Sí. Bueno. Hay más ahí. Que brilla algo. No sé.
I cannot enter. It's locked, all right.
Anda. Se rompe todo.
I cannot enter.
Da la vuelta. Eso no. Esto no tiene sentido, madre mía. Ahora, no nos meter con renderizar. No puedo tirarlo. Coño. No puede ser. Hijo de puta. ¿Y este que hace aquí? No me pregunto. Madre mía. Otra vez. Pero cada vez que me matan. Su experiencia, ¿esto cómo va? Vamos a ver el doctor, porque madre mía.
Doctor, where have you been? I've little time to play hide and seek with new staff members, no matter how illustrious they may be.
I found a wounded man by the docks. He answers to the name of Clay Cox. He requires urgent medical attention.
Already making the rounds? That's the Pembroke spirit. I'll ask our porter, Milton, to bring him back immediately.
Thank you.
No aceptan
What can I do for
más
you?
enfermos.
Dr. Swansea insisted we provide you a quiet office. You'll find it on the second floor with your name on the door.
Thank you.
Ya tiene el nombre y todo.
Nurse Crane.
No se ha perdido el tiempo.
Yes, Dorothy Crane. Welcome to Pembroke Hospital, Dr. Reed. Your office has been prepared.
I would like to ask a few questions first. What kind of man is Dr. Swansea?
Well, you accepted the job from him. I thought you would have known about your
Yeah.
employer.
Apologies, I've only just met him the once. This is sudden.
No sé
I've
por
only
qué se
just
disculpa.
returned to England.
Dr. Swansea is a brilliant surgeon and the most compassionate physician.
It's right to assume Dr. Swansea knows far more about me than I do about him.
You'll get to know him soon enough, and better than me. The administrator has better things to do than mix with us.
If you could point me in the direction of my room again, nurse.
La segunda planta.
Second floor of the hospital, left after the stairs. It's the last vacant office at the end of the corridor.
And Mr. Hampton, the patient we brought in, how does he fare?
I gave him a sedative to help him sleep. Poor thing was in quite a state of shock.
Thank you, Nurse Crane.
What can I do for you, Doctor?
Thank you, Nurse Crane.
Still standing up.
Se me pasan por el forro los cojones.
Good evening, sir.
So it is true. The famous Dr. Reed has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before at the Rockefeller University in New York.
Dr. Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation? And please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London. I'm sure you are used to working in a better environment.
It's not exactly the best situation in London either. I can't have expected this hospital to be prepared for what was to come.
Don't be misled by appearances, Dr. Reed. This hospital does not lack talented people. It just lacks hope.
What can you tell me about the staff in the hospital?
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Demagogia.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
Yo, tócate los cojones.
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, but I must admit he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office now and again.
You're exhausting yourself, Corcoran. Maybe you should think about preserving your strength.
No. We must keep on healing all those poor souls. We are the last rampart before chaos. Once more unto the breach.
Por culo.
You've nothing to prove, Dr. Tippett, to anybody, and we all praise your experience. Please, have some rest.
I am perfectly fine, and I am not too old for this job.
Sí, sí lo eres.
You're exhausting yourself, Corcoran. Maybe you should think about preserving your strength.
No. We must keep on healing all those poor souls. We are the last rampart before chaos. Once more unto the breach.
You've nothing to prove, Dr. Tippett, to anybody, and we all praise your experience. Please, have some rest.
I am perfectly fine, and I am not too old for this job.
En serio. No me deja. Hijos de puta. ¿Me puedo volver atrás?
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
¿Dónde está la vieja esta?
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Sí, venga.
Why does Dr. Tippett claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Pues sí.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
¿Te mato o qué?
And I thought last summer's epidemic was difficult.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war, and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything, and it's getting worse every day.
Are you really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
It sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing here. I escaped through the hospital's garden. I
Wow.
lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital. That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
I have some good news, Milton.
What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet, with all the money and a certain picture.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin colour that bothers you?
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway. To remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reed.
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
No te voy a comprar nada. Por culo, joder. Gastar dinero en tu mierda. Yo no entiendo por qué tienen las camas aquí fuera. No hay sitio dentro. Y tienen camas en la calle. A ver la Peppa Pig, esto, ¿dónde está? Madre mía, se incrusta. Ahora no se ve. Mira, ahora sí. Como ya no se anima. Y ahora ya sí se anima. Qué cutre, por Dios. Aquí estás.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Goodbye, Nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Pero vaya. Esta coño. ¿Qué hace?
Dr. Swansea is right. Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
Y ya no sé en qué tenía razón, joder. Es una mierda.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Aren't you too old for such jealousy? It really won't do you any good, you know.
Don't be ridiculous, Dr. Reed. A simple glance is enough for me to know you have nothing for me to envy.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
Pues no sé.
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion technique saved many lives, and you know it.
You see? That is exactly what I hate about people like you. You avoid this kind of accusation instead of facing reality.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd. Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
O nunca.
What can I do for you, Doctor?
Esta es la fe de antes.
Thank you, Nurse Crane. Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
Pedante, doctor. Pues muy bien que tenga un doctorado y qué.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Si son horas extras, son horas extras y punto.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see.
Ya van a ver
Give me
por
the
qué sí.
address, for I may pass by if I have time.
Profesor. Que ya lo sé, joder. Venga.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning
Y ya
blood
está.
transfusion, Dr. Reed.
Sobre ti,
But
ha
on my
dicho.
own experiments, I'm convinced it's the future.
Pero experimenta sobre qué.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Si no tiene resultados, un fracaso.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am
Sí, claro.
honored to have the opportunity to work by
Si
your
tú eres más
side.
viejo.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Esto es envidioso.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Hola, todo más por culo. ¿Está curado?
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Me he preguntado por tu condición, no por tu nombre.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Ackroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Are you satisfied?
Si está bueno, solo necesitarás uno.
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable. And your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Ellen. As for me, what?
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No.
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes.
A ver, puede irse si le da la gana.
No.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Qué bien anda, hija de puta.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir.
Pero si no tu paciente.
Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'll let you get some rest, then.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
¿Y por qué no le lleva a otro
May I
hospital?
ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
Ajá, la pipa.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Goodbye. Tengo una habitación para solo.
Words to calm the children, Ellen. As for me,
Arroba.
what a blundering idiot.
¿Qué coño no se pone la puta carta de mierda directamente? ¿Dónde está? Yo qué sé, todo por culo.
I will not let you down, my boy.
¿Quién es?
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
As for me,
So many deaths.
I'm sorry you ended up.
Empleo gratuito.
I understand. And you must be very angry about this unfair
It's
situation.
locked, all right.
It will be buried in the same mass grave as your
It's locked, all right.
calm the children, Ellen. As for me, what a blundering idiot.
What can I do for you, Doctor?
Thank you, Nurse Crane. I cannot enter.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, Nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
How long have you been a nurse?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
You'd be surprised what dedication can achieve, Nurse Hawkins. In medicine, sometimes we're just a test result away from a miracle.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
No, te no he dicho nada. Yo es que no.
How would
No
you
entiendo qué
describe the
pita.
situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Es un poco coñazo esto.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end,
Que no es
nobody
española,
was spared?
pero bueno.
You must get a hold of yourself, Nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Pues normal. ¿Qué vas a hacer, gilipollas? Allá vamos.
Pepper, I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes, Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting you, Nurse Hawkins. But are you aware of the risks?
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he worth the risk?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest bloke. But we do our best to get by. That's all any of us can hope for nowadays.
¿Y por qué no puede? Ay, pero importa, no te jode.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
¿Y lo de la cama? La cama, que está vendiendo camas. Es muy zorra. Mira la pista. Tengo una pista, toma.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Joder, que me da igual.
What's going on between you and Nurse Hawkins?
Pippa's tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corpses piling up. She's as depressed as I am.
You do realize you could both get fired. Hospital staff are not meant to have intimate relationships with one another.
Come on, Dr. Reed. Do you know how many rules are broken in this hospital every day just to keep it running? There's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
During the war, I witnessed a few couples just like you come together in difficult circumstances. It can be very damaging.
Maybe you're right. But we support each other. And that's all that matters.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
Goodbye, Milton.
Adiós. Me pone toda la puta puerta.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Claro, no paran de moverse, joder. Sí, un montón de camas libres.
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Sí.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Joder puta. Se te incrusta.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
La bata esa asquerosa que llevas. Me manden a casa.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps, But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
A tu puta casa, venga.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers' trade union. The wet boot boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
Gilipollas. ¿Qué tal, mártir? ¿A qué se dedica?
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks. And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Yeah.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Lleva el rosario ahí por posture.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know.
Sí.
We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
How do you feel, Mr.
¿Y a mí qué me importa? Como si se muere.
Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
Señor, buen día.
It's locked.
Pues sin rostro. Madre mía, esto es enorme. Monedas. Bah. Me voy a gastar el dinero en esos gilipollas. Por culo. Le muerdo esto.
I cannot enter. It's locked.
Not now.
Not now. Ni ahora, ni nunca.
It's locked. This must be the place. It's definitely away from prying eyes. Relegated to the shadows. A kingdom of my own. At least I won't be sleeping in a coffin. The flower's dying. It needs water.
Water. Water. Ah, coño, muévete. Una espada. Espada del dragón. ¿Por qué no me deja? ¿Cómo hace? ¿Y esto? ¿Coño ha pasado? Apoyar. Lucha. ¿Qué coño le echo agua? Joder. No me deja echarle agua. Ya, no quiero nada. Es que se supone que este es mejor. 65 y 65. Vamos a probar. Y ahora no me deja.
The flower's dying. It needs water.
Pero ¿cómo? Si no me deja. No me deja. A descansar. Punto de guardado. A ver, ¿esto qué hace? ¿Qué tal? Quiero esto. Y del 5 hijos de puta. Yo prefiero vida, la verdad. Joder, es que es una mierda. Que ya le da a aceptar, joder. La noche siguiente, dice, y luego resulta ser el mismo día. Oh, nivel 6. Vamos a cambiarnos de ropita. Porque ahora no me deja cambiar de ropa.
The flower's dying. It needs water.
Esta mierda. ¿Cómo me cambio yo ahora de ropa? Sí, la verdad. ¿Qué coño hay una puerta y una carga si no me dejas? Sombra. Yo creo que lo voy a dejar ya.
It's locked, all right.
¿Tiene una pista? ¿De quién tiene una pista yo? No, este. ¿Dónde está? Cara quemada. Uy, ¿esto no cae?
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, no. I'm a vampire.
Como tú.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard's syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
Loca. Ya estás loca.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins.
Si no tienes sangre, por eso la necesitas.
Please, describe to me how you...
Ahora, una cosa como aquí. Círculo social, vale.
You feel. What is it like to be a
No se puede saltar.
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
Pues muy bien.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover to hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
No, it's such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
Loca.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
No sé dónde coño estaba.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Uf, qué pena.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty.
Qué asco.
A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
Porque se cambie, ¿eh?
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of my blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
Entretenimiento.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than a real one.
Loco.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Y por ahora.
Disgust on every street corner. The daily routine.
You always knew the words to calm the children. As for me.
Reflexiones. Está abierto.
Never could keep anything from her.
Anda, que tengo que analizar esta mierda aquí. ¿Qué coño quiere esa mierda? ¿Qué coño me cuesta?
William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now.
¿Tiene tiempo de qué? ¿Cómo coño he hecho? ¿Cómo me cambio? Joder. Que no quiero descansar, ya he descansado. Coño. No puedo reiniciar, qué bueno.
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood?
Hurry now, Doctor. It's freezing here.
Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
What type of hospital are you running? No antiseptics?
Madre mía.
You have been away too long, Doctor. With the war and now this epidemic, supplies have been running scarce for months now.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse.
Yes, Doctor?
Exactly how bad is the supply situation here at Pembroke?
Ya te lo he dicho.
It really depends. Dr. Swansea deftly works his society contacts for monies, but with the quarantine, well, we're in God's hands.
Why then do you always work the nights? Don't you ever sleep?
At the Pembroke, we're always hands on deck.
Your dedication to the Pembroke does you credit, Nurse Crane, but when do you sleep?
We staff get our sleep when we can, Doctor. Nursing is a vocation, not the labor of a journeyman.
Lack of sleep and the medical profession always ends in disaster. I've witnessed many a colleague succumb to stimulants to fight exhaustion. Drugs were as deadly as bullets in the trenches.
London's trenches start here at Pembroke Hospital. We are on the front line, make no mistake.
Please, could you point me in the direction of the morgue again?
It's the large boarded-up building behind the hospital. You can't miss it. The key I gave you will open the small back door to it.
That's all for now, Nurse Crane, thank you.
Yes.
I cannot enter.
Not now.
It's locked, all right.
Aguardar. La sangre de los ciudadanos no hace nada. Suena a peligro.
I cannot enter.
¿Y por qué no habilitan esta zona? Digo yo, se supone que los vampiros no se reflejan. Ay, yo no quiero subir, qué miedo. Qué miedo ni qué hostias. Ah. Nivel 6.
Behavior is similar to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. This sickness moves faster than influenza.
No sé para qué quiero hacer.
It's locked. This key will surely grant me access to the basement. Balls of Mars, fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might prove itself useful.
Podría tener alguna bajo la verja. Hay bichos asquerosos.
These skulls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood.
Y vencí. Son zombies.
It's locked, all right. Mr. Connor's injuries don't match the report. I'd better look into this.
Pero si no se abre el tórax.
Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps? The chest was originally open to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful.
No sé cómo sabe la operación de pulmón, pero...
Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then, he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked. Tippett has made an egregious error.
¿Pero qué coño me deja?
It's time
Sí,
we
es lo
talked.
mismo. Aquí es donde he venido. Aquí que hay, nada. Seguro que hay un muerto. ¿Dónde está? Nivel 7. Oh. Lo ha matado. Si no me dejan subir de nivel, pues qué coño hago. Venga, coño, muévete. No puede ser. ¿Pero por qué no se guarda? ¿Pero por qué coño no se mueve? Pero venga, coño, muévete. Es que no me jodas. No se puede guardar por vaya mierda. Está muerto. No sirve de nada la pistola de mierda. Que no me jodas, tío. Se atascan las putas columnas. Que no me hace caso, coño. Pollas.
These skulls can be so ferocious. I'm not sure I can defeat them without becoming stronger. To drink blood is so tempting. Sodium hypochlorite. Dangerous to administer, but efficient in the proper dosage.
Ay, mierda. Anda, mira. ¿Y para qué quiero esto? Para nada. Ya está. Pues vaya mierda. Gilipollas. Dice que no se va a curar más, hijo de puta, porque hay como coño dentro. No, sí, yo. ¿Por qué se para? Joder. ¿Cómo hace? Yo no entiendo, me da una llave y también está la puerta está abierta. Si voy a encontrar. ¿Cuál es? El almacén este. ¿Qué compres? Te lo quitar. Volver a ver muertos. No.
Behavior is similar to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. This sickness moves faster than influenza. It's locked, all right.
No sé por qué saca alarma. ¡Oh! Ya sé por qué saca alarma. Qué susto, hijo de puta. ¿Ves? Y ahora... Sí, ataca rápido. Yo flipo. Sigue habiendo vampiros, que no son estos. Anda, qué bonito. Esa tranquilidad. Es que hay un poco de pelaje. A guardar. Es que no me dejo utilizar mis poderes. ¿Dónde coño tiene que ir? Sí, con esa no salen mis cojones.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Yo creo que ponía desconocido.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Tengo que hablar con el viejo.
Daily routine.
Con ese. Este. Que se le incrusta.
Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any good news
Sí,
to share?
no para ti.
Corcoran, I want you to tell me about Mr. Connor. How did he die? What happened?
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake.
Pues paga.
That's the blunt truth.
What was the nature of the mistake?
It was a twofold error. My diagnosis was wrong, and the administered dosage was too strong.
¿Por qué no probaste con una suave primero? Hijo de puta.
Who was this patient?
I don't know. Some sick man from the docks, maybe a fisherman. I had no time to talk with him. No one claimed the body.
Los cojones, coño.
Why not stop practicing?
Are you mad? I killed that man, I admit it, and it won't
Sí.
happen again. I have saved so many lives since then.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
Pues paga, viejo asqueroso. Y ahora dónde tengo que ir.
We must prove what we are capable of. It is now.
A ver qué mierda quiero que haga. Va. Está. ¿Qué coño quiere? Antibiótico eso. no sé qué quiere que haga. El agotamiento. Aquí. Aquí, 6. 1325 de experiencia. Yo quiero vida. No me queda ni uno. Pues vaya mierda. Nivel 7. Guardando. Creo que me da ahora. ¿Qué coño quiere eso? Si ya lo habla con todos. No sé por qué brilla todo tanto.
This hospital seems to be falling apart.
How long must I wait,
But
damn
in
it?
circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit
agenda,
of the
sir.
doubt.
How long's it going to take to fix
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes, nurse.
You've worked your first miracle, Doctor. Now, this patient here needs immediate treatment.
Duty calls. When the storm has passed, I'll show you how to mix the remedy yourself with the
Pero
same basic
ahora,
ingredients.
cuando lo necesita.
Many thanks, Doctor. When you've finished, you ought to report to Dr. Swansea in his office.
Sí,
He's
si
been
no me deja
looking for
entrar.
you. Seemed
Ok.
pressing.
Para curarles, que es un objeto. Un bicho.
This hospital seems to be falling apart. But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the
Dr.
doubt.
Reed, may I help you?
For how long have you been
Cotilla.
working here, Nurse Crane?
I first volunteered at the Pembroke in 1911, a few months after Dr. Swansea was appointed.
And before you arrived here?
If you must know, this was my first job.
Coño.
Well, Dr. Swansea certainly has confidence in your abilities. Are you in charge of the nursing staff?
Not in an official capacity, but the Pembroke doesn't always work above board, so to speak.
What about medical protocols?
Dr. Reed, we don't have the money and resources here at the Pembroke like they do in the West End.
¿Qué
We
protocolo?
do what we can.
Eso digo yo.
How is the duty roster
¿Cómo
organized?
puede?
Everybody works until they can't. If there's time, they'll eat a meal and shed a silent tear.
Lo den por culo.
What can you tell me about the epidemic, Nurse Crane? I've been out of touch since I've come back to England.
Everyday folk don't know how bad it is. The papers certainly won't tell them. Not as long as the war is raging on, anyway.
News on the front stated that the Spanish flu was under control, at least in Britain.
It seemed to be for a while, but that was only last summer. It returned with a vengeance just over a month ago.
What can you tell me about our patients here at Pembroke?
This hospital was founded to help the East End poor and needy. But since the war and the quarantine, we've had all manner of folk.
Can you be more specific?
Well, veterans, the elderly, dock workers. We even have a few mental patients. If there's space, we take them.
Se pone afuera que no hay espacio. Y luego vendéis las camas, hijo de puta.
I'll see you later, Nurse Crane. Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Otra vez.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured, you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Oh, sweet girl.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Ahora sí, no te jode, de puta.
Please, Jonathan, come in.
Lo podría haber hecho eso antes.
Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea. But my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
No me puedo comer este gilipollas. Pues no lo sé.
I'm a dead man. I was murdered. Now I'm a murderer. Tell me how this is a gift.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so much more than a brilliant physician. And please, call me Edgar.
No gilipollas.
There is no need to apologize, Edgar. You offered me sanctuary when I had none.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling. And until I come to understand what has happened to me, I require discretion.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather indelicate correspondence that, if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
No sé por qué.
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
Que le mate.
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble Lady Ashbury is in.
Do you need something, Jonathan?
Comerte.
I have just a few questions.
Then ask away. I'm at your service, Doctor.
You mentioned something about a secret society. A brotherhood, if I recall. Could you elaborate?
Certainly. I've been a member of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole for several years. We are pledged to monitor and report vampire activity in England as impartial scientific observers.
¿Por qué coño los no están centrados?
Yet you don't fear me. And still, you know the monster that lurks beneath the civilized surface.
The Brotherhood has studied your kind for centuries. We believe you are as supernatural as a lion is to a gazelle.
That explains your nightly wanderings about the docks and the questions you ask.
I feel it wasn't mere coincidence that led us to that part of town. There was something as yet unseen that set those chain of events in motion.
Madre mía, ahora pueden cortar la frase así, tío, es que no tiene ningún puto sentido.
Since you seem quite the expert on vampires, what could you tell me about my condition and how it came about?
As men of science, our first step is always to start with what we know. Forget the myths, the hackneyed scrawlings, and the penny dreadfuls. They do not scratch the surface of the truth you now find yourself in.
Sí, pero que mató a su hermana. Pues si te han dicho que no antes, joder.
The sun. The morning following my transformation. Its rays burned me. There was pain, smoke, and my skin.
Eso regenera.
You will find there is very little that can kill a vampire, my friend. You have been offered relative immortality. The sun will most certainly hurt you, leaving you weakened and damaged, but it will not destroy you.
Eso ya lo han dicho antes, pesado.
Must I take a life to live?
No. You are a vampire. You feed, and blood is the sole sustenance that can sustain your immortal frame. And only a living creature contains the nourishment you require.
Pero no necesitan la sangre humana.
Since I'm the one working for you, what should I know about Pembroke Hospital?
Es una mierda.
Well, for many years, we have been the only medical facility in this part of town that people can rely on. We support the community here, as well as provide health care.
Where do we stand today?
Oh, to be honest, we cope on a day-to-day basis. The first wave of the Spanish flu last summer took us by surprise. We lack many of the basic necessities needed.
What do you expect of me?
What we need is hope. You were a soldier. This is a war. This white coat's still a uniform. We fight to help the poor. The sick of the East End, the forgotten.
Enemigos. No solo por salvar vidas, no te jode.
The man we pursued and slew in the canning factory, William Bishop, I believe, was he a vampire?
Bueno.
He was a Skald, technically speaking. The debate rages as to their classification. Some think them a subspecies of vampire, others something else.
How do Skulls come into existence?
The name means slave. The etymology may indicate that they are a lesser species of vampire. From what I know, vampires tend to despise them.
¿Por qué? Si eran humanos antes.
Just for clarity, what differences are there between myself and a skull?
A skull is easier to eliminate, Jonathan, even if they remain formidable foes for the unprepared. Vampires... Now, vampires exist beyond the mortal realm.
We'll see each other again soon, Ed.
Para mí... Yo no sé cómo le he entrado. Lo montáis y está cerrado. ¿Te quieres? A ver qué más podemos robar. No sé por qué suena ese pum. Joder. Está vivo.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Have you heard any talk of blackmail going on in the hospital?
If you're running some official inquiry, you had better question the patients. They know more than the staff, especially old Miss Jones.
Señora Young.
Tell me, Thoreau, what's the real cause of your dislike for Dr. Ackroyd?
He refuses to admit that your blood transfusion technique is the only way to save Mr. Fiddick. I'm convinced we must use it.
What Dr. Ackroyd really said is that you lack the skill to perform this operation efficiently. Is there anything you have to say about this?
It's a false conceit. Dr. Ackroyd secretly envies your reputation. His jealousy blinds him. I'm not the real target here.
¿Cómo puede estar seguro? Podrá creerlo, imaginarlo. Estar seguro no, porque no lo he comprobado nunca. Joder.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help.
What is it you really want? To save him? Or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of
impartiality.
You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior. A man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Están hablando aquí de él. A su lado.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Tell me, Waverly, What do you think of Dr. Strickland's enthusiasm for his experimental research?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory. Now that, sir, is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure, but my young colleague obviously disagrees.
Pero si tú eres más joven, eso parece. Investiguen con animales. Si no quieren matar a personas.
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
If you are going to lead this surgery, I'm trusting you to assume the consequences of your actions, whatever the result.
I'm not the kind of man who runs away from his responsibilities.
Ya, claro, como todo, por eso te hacen firmar.
There is no need for you to be looking over my shoulder.
Un justificante informado que falsifica luego.
And are you not afraid that your rivalry with Strickland may be blinding you?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal feelings affect my judgment.
Sí, claro.
Have you heard about any blackmail going on in this hospital?
Blackmail? Nonsense.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
You down, my boy.
¿Este quién es? La calidad de la sangre.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my
Estoy moviendo los
operation?
dedos.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an
No
arsehole.
importa de su trabajo que su mujer.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick, unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Sí, he dicho que sí.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
Sí, claro. Bueno, todo culpa de la Alemania, no te jodes.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army, building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
Muerto.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings.
La verdad es que
I
mejor que
served
se
in
hubiese muerto.
France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have.
Tú sabes si encontraron trocitos,
Poor little
pero la
bleeders.
contaron entera.
Have you heard talk of any blackmail here at the hospital?
No, nothing.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Helen. As for me, what a blundering idiot.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Have you heard rumors about blackmail in this hospital?
No.
Pues anda.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Have you heard rumors of blackmail going on in this hospital?
Dr. Reed, are you trying to take advantage of me?
Of course not, Mrs. Goswick. I'm just curious.
Well, go be curious somewhere else, please.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Coño.
I'm alright. Down, my boy. Don't waste your time with me.
Dr. Reed, may I help you?
I'll see you later, Nurse Crane. Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. Good evening, Nurse
Otra
Hawkins.
vez.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Vamos a hablar con la loca. Se va.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attached to Mr. Elwood? Why him?
I'm not sure, Doctor. I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered so much. He's the only mortal I find interesting.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on anybody else? I'm not that cruel, Doctor.
Entonces, ¿por qué le muerdes?
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood are romantically involved?
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs. No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
Have you heard of any blackmailing going on?
Ya, pero entre extorsión y chantaje.
I have no time for mortal games. My secrets are beyond their comprehension, Dr. Reed.
Hay una pequeña diferencia.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
A ver, el cara quemada.
Good evening, Mr.
Ninguno sabe nada.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Have you heard rumors of underhand dealings in the hospital?
If you want to know what's going on here, you better talk to Miss Jones. She knows everything. Especially what she shouldn't.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Fear and disgust on every street corner.
Hello again, Dr. Reed. I
Tiene
feel
una
better already.
pinta
Can I go
ma-
soon?
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Have you heard of any underhand dealings going
Más
on?
que lo suyo.
There are a lot of secrets round here. I'm not surprised someone tried to make money from them.
What kind of secrets?
I'm not in the gossip business, Dr. Reed. If you want to know more, you better talk to Harriet Jones. She's the oldest patient here.
Goodbye, Milton. Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Have you heard of any underhand dealings going on in
Se
this
está preguntando a todo el mundo.
I have no time for such triviality, my dear
Sí,
colleague. We're
trivialidades.
here to save lives.
Goodbye,
Vender
Dr.
cama,
Tippett.
joder. Hijos de puta. Y matar. Cabrón, te quieres. Borracho, asqueroso.
Good evening, Mr. Cox.
Dr. Reed. Still working at night, I see. I like that.
And why is that?
People who don't sleep at night always seem more alive to me. More interesting, one way or another.
Do you ever think about that poor fellow I saw you push in the water?
The wound he gave me will make sure I don't forget him. Still fucking hurts. Boss had cut me good.
Sí, ¿tú qué hiciste?
That man was determined to murder you. You almost died.
What a surprise. The first time I met him, he nearly shit himself. Fucking coward. I guess revenge gives you balls.
¿Y por qué vale más la vida de este asqueroso que del otro?
What did he want? Revenge?
I recently had to kill his brother. Poor arsehole thought it would be easy to return the favour.
You're a monster, Mr. Cox. An ungrateful and
Lo
disgusting
tenía que haber
man.
matado.
I'm the toughest bastard you'll ever meet, Dr. Reed. And I don't give a fuck what you think of me.
How is your hospitalization going,
Ahora.
Mr. Cox?
This is a shitty place with shitty staff. But as long as I'm treated alright, I'll be fine.
Hijo de puta.
What's wrong with the Pembroke staff?
That bastard you sent to bring me here, Milton. I thought he was going to break all my bones before I reached my bed.
I see. Any other smart comments?
The nurses aren't too ugly. Especially that foxy one, Nurse Crane. Pretty brunette, tough attitude, all like that.
What's wrong with the hospital?
Come on, Dr. Reed. The place is a dump. Smelly,
What's
sad,
wrong?
and dirty.
¿Qué
But
tiene de
you're
malo?
alive thanks to the efforts and dedication of the staff here, aren't you?
What are you expecting, a medal? I thought that saving lives was just part of the job. Must be an unsatisfactory profession at this time, I'm sure.
How long do you think you can escape the law, Clay?
I know this city like the back of my hand, Doc. I know its streets, who to pay, who to avoid, and who to bully. I won't get caught.
We can't escape the consequences of our actions. The past catches up with us in the end.
I ain't afraid of death. I don't hide who I am.
Sí, honrada,
I live
¿viste?
my life honestly, which is more than I could say for most folks.
And who are you then?
I'm the leader of the Wet Boot Boys. One day I'll leave this shitty place and punch in the face all who thought I would not come back.
¿De qué?
Have you heard of any underhand dealings going on in the
Sí,
hospital?
te lo voy a contar.
Blackmail? That's not my style. Too risky. The black market, though. Now that's where the money is.
I'll leave you for now,
For
Mr.
now.
Cox.
Otra carta.
When I get back, I'll have a word with Tom. He's really pissed me off this time. Hey, Doc.
What can you tell me about your marriage, Clay?
Marriage is the sweetest cage, they say. Well, I found myself locked in one with a wild animal.
You mean your wife keeps you on your toes?
No, I mean, we both have claws and we both love to bite.
Am I right to assume your wife's letter pissed you off, Clay?
I was so mad, I threw away the knife she got me when we got married.
Your wife gave you a knife as a wedding present.
That knife has always been my lucky charm. If I'd had it in my hand when I got stabbed on that pier, I'd not have been wounded.
Sí.
Do you want it back?
I don't need it here, but if you'd be kind enough to bring it to me, I'd be really grateful.
A grateful
Madre mía, puto audio.
I might just find your knife and bring it back to you to see that happen.
I can give you directions, but I'd be surprised if you managed to find it. My hideout isn't meant to be found easily.
A lucky charm? I never would have taken you as the superstitious type.
We all have our flaws, Doc. Mine's to have my weapon of choice for when the really dirty business comes around.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
Please,
¿Dónde?
sick. Get over here now.
En el sillón.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
When I get back, I'll have a word with Tom.
¿Dónde está la enfermera?
Really pissed me off this time.
¿Está? ¿Dónde está? Está aquí. Mirando al suelo, así trabaja. Tócate los cojones.
Good evening,
La gente muriéndose y ella tocándose el coño.
Tell me what Dr. Tippett did. I know his mistake caused a patient's death.
If I had not covered up his error, Dr. Tippett would have been fired
Como
from this
debería haber
hospital.
sido.
I could not let that happen.
You can't allow your emotions to dictate your conduct concerning patients, Nurse Brannigan.
Look around you, Dr. Reed. Do you really think we can afford to lose a brilliant practitioner like Dr.
Debería
Tippett
estar en la
in
cárcel.
our situation?
I can't say I approve
Mierda.
of what you did. But as a field surgeon, I know that some situations...
No.
I'm not proud of what I've done, but to contain the epidemic must be our priority, so we can't
No.
afford to lose Dr. Tippett.
Joder. Me he equivocado. La mierda. No voy a revelar. Juega.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Debería estar encerrado, te jode.
Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Dr. Reed, any good news to
Sí,
share?
joder la gran puta.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
Mírala, asquerosa esta.
The flu took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough.
Coño tiene la cabeza.
Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet lady of mercy.
Las manos y las caras no nos corresponden.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. It's a pleasure to
¿Dónde
see you
coño
again.
mira?
You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
You're a vamp... The lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce
Ahí
myself
delante de todo el
formally
mundo.
this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our
Que la
encounter.
mandíbula invertida.
Apologies. You've taken me by surprise. I'm
Se
very
están
happy to see you.
enamorando.
The pleasure is mine, Doctor.
I hope you're more disposed to answer my questions now.
You must have countless questions, but our rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover, if you prefer, has been compromised.
Pardon my boldness, your ladyship, but I have questions concerning this condition we share.
As a newborn, your hunger for answers is rivaled only by your thirst for blood. But the questions need wait.
I'm a scientist. My trade is in the deciphering of mysteries, and I need information to feed my mind.
I will gladly answer every question you have, but first, prove yourself capable of resolving my predicament without eating the culprit.
Have any of the patients given you trouble?
These poor souls have so little left to live for. I do my best to ease their pain.
The world would be a better place if it were cared for by women like you.
You make me blush. I am simply a necessary evil.
Sí.
Dr. Swansea has commissioned me to be your agent in this matter. You could start by explaining what's amiss.
These past insufferable weeks, I've been the victim of extortion. I've made a first payment, but the blackmailer grows greedy. I must refuse his most recent demands.
Sí, ¿qué tendrás que ocultar?
What are your expectations? Please be precise.
As the newly appointed surgeon of this hospital, you are in an excellent position to ask innocent questions and deftly learn the identity of my blackmailer.
Who would be so foolish as to threaten you? A kindred spirit.
Even if it were the case, and I highly doubt it, a vampire would have asked for something more valuable than my suspicions lean toward a patient or their family.
If we're dealing with an ordinary criminal, surely you've the means to deal with it yourself, if I may.
As immortal tradition doth dictate, all fangs and hypnotic eyes ablaze, the blood would run like a river. That's what I hope to avoid.
Sí, se lo encarga a otro hijo de puta.
Violence has a tendency to spiral out of control.
Please continue. Every detail is essential. I'm your man.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed only by my shame at having put the hospital at risk. The threat from our anonymous scoundrel is clear. A list of dates. My visits coinciding with the dates of suspicious patient deaths due to massive blood loss.
Is it true?
Now aren't you the blunt one?
Excuse my impertinence, your ladyship. This is not an interrogation. I assure you that this line of questioning is in your best interest.
In all honesty, I'm not simply a patron to the hospital. My visits serve a dual purpose. Dr. Swansea has been treating my condition with a revolutionary technique of blood transfusion. It seems you are a specialist in the domain.
I'll take care of it. Do you know where I should start?
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter myself. You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life, as others know, is in your hands, Dr. Reed.
Está desincronizado el audio.
But I do fear your powers of persuasion will be put to the test. When this is resolved, I'll be your obligé. I'll answer all questions in regards of your condition. Is our little mystery closer to being solved, Dr. Reed?
I think of nothing else, my lady.
My situation is delicate, and it occupies all my thoughts. The blackmail must stop. I need assurance.
1333. Descansa para evolucionar. mejor. Madre mía. Joder.
Fear and disgust on every street corner.
Liars and thieves, every last one of them.
Daily routine.
Este no estaba aquí antes.
What? What? What is this?
Sí, tu habitación.
Get out of my
Asquerosa.
room.
There's no need for alarm, madam. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon.
Preposterous. Dr. Reed, you say? I don't want some bumbling intern. Where's Dr. Swansea?
Dr. Swansea is quite busy, and I need you to help me get acclimated. I have many questions.
How brave. Threatening an old defenseless woman. You know how long I've been a patient here? You've picked the wrong fight. I'm Harriet
Sí,
Jones.
debería estar muerta.
Jones. Indeed. I've been meaning to have a chat with you. You know what goes on here better than any other patient, I gather.
Oh, better than any patient, nurse or doctor. I've seen so many vile undertakings.
I heard there have been some despicable goings-on. Was there a case of blackmail?
No tiene apellido la forma.
Blackmail? Wait. You're investigating something. This isn't a social call. One of those incompetent cunts slit a poor sod's vein.
You seem to know more about the goings-on here than anyone else. Beware, Miss Jones, in case suspicion should fall on you.
That's it. Blame the old and infirm.
Sí.
I see those little bitches' greedy little eyes. Just waiting for me to pop off they are.
Deberías de estar muerta. Si llevas tanto tiempo ahí, más que los médicos y todas las enfermeras juntas, no estarás tan mala. Vete a tu puta casa.
If I didn't know better, Miss Jones, I'd be inclined to say you enjoy this type of idle gossip.
God's honest truth, Doctor. It's just the way it is here. Most of these bitches would let you freeze to death before getting you a blanket.
I assure you, madam, this is not an investigation into a possible medical
No, ya
error.
eso ya lo sabe.
Debauchery, then? Nurses Crane, Hawkins, Brannigans, whores all
Whores, putas.
their legs shut. I've seen them scratching slutty sores.
Really? Well, if you have irrefutable proof, I'll not have the staff behaving in such a manner here.
This is your business, Doctor, not mine. But I swear one of the nurses is cavorting with some man on hospital hours.
Thank you for your time, Miss Jones. You've given me something
Eso
to go
también lo
on.
sé.
See you on the next round.
Vieja chimbosa.
Miss Jones, greetings.
Greetings, saludos.
How do we feel?
Again? Waking a poor old woman in her sleep? There isn't a poor life needs saving somewhere?
No sé si estaba despierta.
Now, I need to ask you a few
No
simple
tienes nada que hacer
questions.
asquerosa.
Well, if you really must.
If you could just tell me
Por nada.
why you were admitted.
Se aburría en su casa.
It's terrible, Doctor. What with a pain in my chest, coughing up blood,
Sí,
and I
yo.
get awfully tired. Wouldn't be so bad if I hadn't lost my house and all.
I see.
No one comes to visit, you know. Not even my own flesh and blood.
Normal.
Have you noticed any suspicious comings or goings?
It would be a great deal easier to make a list of things unsuspicious in this house of charlatans.
Come now, Miss Jones. Surely it's not that bad.
Have you no eyes? This hospital accepts all manner of souls, regardless of origin. The proper sick cannot heal. We're kept sickened by the refugees.
Tú también estás enferma, supuestamente, ¿no? ¿A qué vas a un hospital? Joder.
Everyone here is very capable. I have not seen any instances of
Ah, no.
unprofessional.
Se han matado a uno.
Thieves and murderers, the lot.
Asesinos, es
People
verdad.
have gone missing here, you know. Poof, without a trace.
Y tienes
I'll
razón.
come and visit you shortly. Good night, Miss Jones.
Uy.
The patients and staff might know something. I'll start my investigation with them.
Sí, otra vez.
Hello again, Dr. Reed. I feel better already. Can I go soon?
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
Spare your...
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor.
Voy a interrumpir.
Rich, vibrant blood.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
A ver, ¿dónde está la pipa? Joder, pero ¿por qué de esas vueltas, coño? ¿Dónde está la pipa?
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good
La que
evening,
se
Dr.
toca.
Reed.
What can you tell me about the strange man visiting one of the nurses during her shift?
Let me guess. You spoke with that old shrew, Harriet Jones.
Sí.
Do not pay attention to her, Doctor. She's full of
Pero
fanciful
lo que sí tú a
tales.
quién miras.
She could have been telling the truth about the mysterious man.
That old witch will end up in hell soon enough. Who cares if a nurse finds some happiness where she can?
No matter how you feel about her, Miss Jones deserves our help.
Who says I don't care for her? Hate is what keeps that old crone alive.
What can you tell me about the strange man visiting one of the nurses during her shift?
Let me guess. You spoke with that old shrew, Harriet Jones.
¿Cómo le brilla la lengua?
Do not pay attention to her, Doctor. She's full of fanciful tales.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Fear and disgust every streetcar.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Have you seen a strange man visiting any of the nurses?
I've never heard of such a thing, Doctor.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Coño. Abajo.
Consider the offer from that Cadigan fella.
At least that mistress of the dark has stopped following me.
¿Y este quién es?
Please, sir. I need help bad.
What's going on?
I'm Blight, sir. Newton Blight. I've lost my mate. Can't find him anywhere.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed from the Pembroke Hospital. Please, calm down and give me more details.
Oswald and myself were both infantry, sir. We were en route for the hospital, but... well, we had a disagreement.
Oh.
And Oswald ran off towards the canal.
How long have you been searching for him?
I can't go there. Too many rats by the water. Fucking rats. Can't stand them since the war, sir. Can't stand them all.
Don't be ashamed, Mr. Blight. Many soldiers who survived the trenches suffer from musophobia. I'll see what I can do for your friend. What can you tell me about your friend?
His name is Oswald Thatcher. We survived the war together. Oswald is nervous and quite fragile since we came back.
No la culpa la tengo los demás, de que esté loco. Joder.
Where was your friend?
En el río, porque tiró el otro.
He went down by the canal. He didn't want to go to the hospital. I think he went to the sewers on purpose. So I couldn't go after him.
This is a dangerous part of town. What are you doing here?
We were looking for the Pembroke Hospital. We both need help. Treatment, I mean. To get some sleep. Just need to feel better, sir.
What can you tell me about yourself?
I'm Oswald's best friend. We served in the same regiment, sir. We've taken care of each other since we came back from the front.
I have all the information I need for now. If I find anything out about your friend, I'll let you know as soon as I can.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Have you found Oswald?
Not yet, sir. I need more information first.
All right. What do you want to know?
Pues nada.
I have all the information I need for now.
Gilipollas.
If I find anything out about your friend, I'll let you know as soon as I can.
Thank you,
Lo
Dr. Reed.
avisaré. Que es un objeto, un bicho. Joder.
We've dodged death so many times. Oswald, you can't just die like this.
Please, I feel sick. Get over it now.
Está en la barca.
Don't worry, we're safe. Don't worry, we're safe. No one is here. Relax. Don't worry, we're safe.
Se la he encontrado, está ahí, que...
Don't worry, we're safe.
You're sure you don't come back with me?
Nah, I have to see someone at the hospital.
Be careful. You look so bad they may keep you as a patient.
Fuck 'em. I don't like hospitals or doctors.
Well then,
Está con una
when you
enfermera.
go back to Whitechapel, you may find this useful.
Madre mía, cómo lo hizo.
A pass for a free medical exam by the best nurse available. Just read it.
I don't read well, but thank you, I guess.
Si está ahí a la... Madre mía, los pantalones. Se ha colado. ¿Dónde coño se ha ido? Y ahora ya está abierta así. De repente, porque sí.
You can't just die like this.
¡Oh! Cargando. Pensaba que me había quedado yo de cansado.